Louise is and was my sister, best friend, a second mum. She was 12 years older than me, but really it felt like we were similar ages at times because we were both so alike. With my sister being disabled, it was just normal to me, really. Didn't really see anything different about my sister because she was just my sister. Her muscles were very weak. She'd fall over and trip over a lot, and she'd injure herself a lot. Sometimes she would slur the words, even though I always understand what she said because she was my sister. When people didn't understand her, she'd get upset because she just wanted to be listened to and heard. Sharing a room with my sister was the best thing. It was nice to have company on the night time, and she was always telling me about boys. And at that time, I was a lot younger than her, so I didn't really understand what she was talking about. Which guy does she like? She went to a lot of day centres. And then all of a sudden, sometimes she'd say to me, "We sing me some songs, I can't sleep." Then we'd start talking about future plans, like one day we'd love to share a house together, bungalow. You can have one room, I can have another room. I always says to her, "I will look after you," and she says, "I'll look after you." And even though I knew she couldn't always help me as much as she says, she always tried all the time, and I always tried with her as well. Being a young carer is something that I never really thought about until recently because I thought it was just being a sister, really. Like on a morning, I'd help her out, sit with her if my mum needed a bit of a break. Like, I didn't really go out as much with friends, I stayed with my sister. I tried to help as much as I could. Nurses used to come round a lot, district nurses. And I think one day I says to them, I said, "How do you do the feeding tube? I wouldn't mind learning." She says, "You're a little bit too young to be knowing about this." I says, "I know, but I'm responsible and I try and be there for my sister." They taught me how to do it, and I used to know how to set the machine up, press all the buttons, start the feed, and then you have to put down how long the feed's going to be on. And then I knew how to flush it out with water and then put the plug back on. I enjoyed it, even though it sounds like a lot of responsibility. I enjoyed looking after her. When she was around 28, my sister was feeling a bit under the weather, and we didn't think much about it because sometimes she felt like that. And she ended up in hospital in intensive care. And I was really scared to go into the room to see her, but I knew that she needed me there. So I used to sit with her and hold her hand. I didn't think that she was going to pass away because she used to go in hospital a lot of times. My mum said to me, "There's not a lot of change happening," but nobody really told me because I don't think anyone wanted to worry me. And then one day when I was doing my schooling, first there was a phone call saying, "You need to go." Then the next thing you know, this car comes, and I thought, this is a bit strange. Where am I? But nobody were really telling me where was I going. I just got in this car, and then I sort of realised where I was going. Martin House Hospice. And as we got closer, she just said that, "I think you need to prepare yourself." I realised I don't think she's going to get any better because everybody were looking at me in a strange way. No one was telling me anything. They were just looking at me with a sad face. And I just had the feeling I knew what was going to happen. I remember going into the room to see my sister, and they told me that I could lay next to her. And they told me that they were going to take the tubes out of her body because that was keeping her alive. She lasted quite a long time. It gave me time to make some memories for her. So the music teacher that they had there helped me record some songs for her, and then we put it onto a CD player. And they allowed me to have it so she could hear me singing because she was used to me singing to her when she was alive. I wanted her to hear me when she wasn't. Well, after my sister passed away, we didn't really want to go back home because A lot of these care companies were taking my sister's stuff away. So when we got home, most of the equipment that she had was gone, and that made it worse. So we stayed at Martin House, I think it must have been about a week, and they were amazing. I had a lot of support from the staff. They helped us to arrange things for my sister, like the funeral, because my mum and dad wasn't really sure what to do. They have like an art room, so they helped me make lots of like little butterfly badges, purple, because she loved purple, but I did a few pink because she knew that I liked pink too. I made her a little paper bouquet with butterflies, purple and pink, so she was holding that in her hand. And I made her a little friendship bracelet, and we had matching bracelets as well. You know those old-fashioned little phones, even though she wasn't able to use it, I put one in there for just so if she ever wanted to call me, she can call me. My sister Louise, she always told me that one day, if I'm not here, I'm going to visit you. That night, I saw somebody going down the corridor on the right-hand side, and I'm thinking, I don't think you're supposed to go down there because it said no entry. It was my sister. And she was smiling, skipping, and I felt like she was saying goodbye. Then I followed her down that corridor and she was gone. My Alexa goes off quite a lot, but only at certain times. Like if I'm on my own or if we're having a bad day, Take That'll come on, Patience, and that song was at my sister's funeral. And I'm thinking, this is a bit strange. And then when I asked Alexa, what are you playing? She turns round and said, I don't understand what you're saying. And she doesn't have no record of playing the song. I found it comforting. And I said, thanks for that, Louise. And then after I told my mum and dad, they started telling me about things that happened to them, about my sister as well. So it feels like she's been visiting a lot of us. I moved into my own bungalow and I always were going to be moving in with my sister and I wanted something of hers with me, so I thought I'll buy a bench. So when this box turns up, this little box, and I'm thinking, well, it's a bit small and maybe it's in little pieces, I don't know. I opened it up and this is what I got. I thought it was going to be a life-size bench, but it turned out to be a tiny bench. I've got a shelf in my living room and it's got a picture of my sister. It's got all her favourite things. I like candles on there. And then I made this little bracelet for her with a name on, so I feel like it's more special because sometimes if I'm having a bad day, I just look at it, light a candle and I feel better. Before my sister passed away, she always told me to keep singing. So it took me quite a few years after she passed away, but I entered a talent show and I ended up winning the show. And now every time I sing, I'm doing it for my sister because she loved music. Every time I sing for her, she's there with me. She may not be next to me properly, but she's there with me. And I have a tattoo on my shoulder of a feather with a name on it, and that's because she's always on my shoulder, guiding me, making sure I make good decisions. I want to make her proud as much as I can. I wouldn't have picked anyone better to be a sister than my sister was, Louise. I've learned that I'm lucky that I had people that told me what was going on and I had the support, but not every person with a learning disability gets the support that they should get. Sometimes people don't always know the right things to say when someone's passed away, but all I always say is just be there for that person. Even if they don't want to talk to you about how they feel, give them a hug. Or just say, I'm here if you need to talk to someone. And I think that makes a big difference to people.